My name is Kola. My Indian name is Tohaya, and I come from Pendleton, Oregon. And I am unapologetically strong. The work that I do that you're able to see today was what I call my grown-up job, and the job that I actually clock into every single day, Monday through Friday, and that's an elder support specialist. So I'm able to meet with elders and see them a few days out of the week that are homebound and deliver meals to them. Maybe sit down with them, visit with them, talk with them, see if there's anything else that they need within the home, if it be moving things around the house or just anything in general that they need is what I'm able to be there to support them through. I also am able to sit with them at the senior center, do some of our arts and crafts, and just hold space with them and essentially do what I've been raised and taught to do my entire life, which is holding our elders in high regard and respecting them, but also understanding that they're human beings just like the rest of us. They just want people to listen to them. They want to be able to talk to people. They want to be able to have connections cultivated and still be able to see other people within the community, because with age comes, digression with being able to be physical and being able to be out there and doing maybe some of our cultural practices or even cooking or kind of mundane things that we think about at this age, like cleaning the house or watering plants or taking care of animals. So they just really are looking for someone who they are familiar with, that looks like them, that sounds like them, that know the cultural ways, and somebody that they can feel comfortable with. And that's essentially what I'm in the position to do, is be someone familiar to them. And it's something that I've been really passionate about since I was younger, just having been raised in a household with my grandparents and seeing how important it is to continue connection through to the very end when they make the next part of their journey. So it's been a really fun experience, and it's a part of my day that I really do look forward to, and it's very humbling work, and it's something that even if I weren't clocking in for it and getting paid for it, it's something that I would still be doing regardless. Career advice, I really think that our kids need to remember it is important to not let other people tell you what you should be doing with your life and making you feel like you're forced to choose something right now. That is important, but I think what's even more important is not doing that to ourselves. I think when you limit yourselves, you limit the amount of possibilities that you could have with your life. And I say this only because when I was 10 years old, I had made up my mind that I was going to be a doctor. I was going to help deliver babies. I was going to take care of new moms. I was going to do that kind of work. And by the time I turned 18, that idea had kind of started to flutter away, and it really was tough to deal with because I felt like I had let myself down, that I didn't stick with the career that I had chosen for myself at 8, 10 years old. Like, that's not the time to be trying to make decisions for yourself on that level. And very quickly decided that school wasn't for me, and I left school for a little while, and I decided to go back to school. And when I did go back to school, I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to take up criminal justice. And it only took about a quick 2 or 3 years for that to change, and I decided to get my business degree. And then quickly that idea of law enforcement was fleeting, and now I'm doing advocacy work for Indigenous rights, essentially. I think that we should be helping children and guiding them along the way to figure out what their already current strengths are and what it is that they're passionate about and what it is that they truly are feeling like they want to do, and what's going to help them hit the ground running every single morning and living their lives more purposeful and intentional. And I think that not only speaks when it comes to career and education, I think it speaks to everyone in their life. What is it that you're doing with your life today? And I've even met individuals in their 50s who've been like, I actually want to try something different. I might actually be able to be a storyteller. I might actually want to pick up art now, something that I've been repressing since I was a child because there's no money in it. And there's individuals who've been, I don't know if I have time to learn our ways in the Longhouse. I don't know if I have time to learn our language, and it's never too late. And I think this is something that a lot of people forget, is you can start picking up something and doing it and learning something new every single day. I can even speak to my parents who are well into their 70s, and there's still things that they're learning today. and that's okay. And I think that's what we're supposed to be doing with our lives, is continually learning, continually absorbing, and continually allowing ourselves to be the student and having that day one mentality. And I think that's what we should be encouraging our kids to do, and I think that's what they should be thinking of every day. The Wisawca Project, which is the safety consulting organization that I started on my own. So when people hear that I'm a professional fighter or that I have experience with mixed martial arts, they immediately will ask for self-defense training. And I am not opposed to people training. I just really advocate for consistent training. But I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have when it comes to this movement is they think that it's on the individual. They should have known how to protect themselves. They should have known how to take care of themselves. And if they knew how to fight, or if they knew how to get away from that person that was trying to take them or trying to kill them or trying to hurt them, maybe then they would still be here. And that's just not really the case. It's really hard to fall on the victim blaming, victim shaming idea with a lot of these cases. So I think we're kind of coming up to this new movement of individuals, especially within Indian countries, saying, you know what, the people that are in the positions to take care of us, to protect us, and to listen to us when we need help, if they're not going to do it, we're going to do it for ourselves. And now we're advocating for ourselves, and now we're taking the steps in order to take care of ourselves and to ensure that we make it back home every single day. And that's my ultimate hope with the Wisawca Project and creating that, was just that other people will feel safer and that they're more capable and stronger in being able to take care of themselves, but also have the tools available to them if a loved one does go missing, and they have the information that they need for law enforcement when they ask the really difficult questions. This work within advocacy for missing and murdered Indigenous women and relatives and people is something that I've repeated many times. It's not something that anyone gets motivated or inspired to do. And I have to say that for a lot of advocates, it's something that Creator lays out in front of us, and we have to be ready and prepared to pick it up. And it's not something that any of us prepare for. And I say this because when we get into this work, it's because we've lost a loved one. Someone we know, a family member, a friend, has been killed for essentially no reason at all. And there's no answers most of the time. There's no resolution, and there's no almost end in sight for a lot of us. So it's really hard to answer that question when people ask kind of what gets you started, and it's something that's really hard for many of us to answer. And as a personal safety consultant and traveling and speaking, I tell a lot of the individuals that I work with that, could you imagine having to explain your worth to a group of people? Explain your value to a group of people? Explain why it is that you deserve to live and why your people deserve to be here. I mean, we're talking about the first people who inhabited this land, the original people, the original caretakers of this land, and we're trying to explain to other individuals who are in positions of power that should be doing that for us. And I think that's what makes this work really difficult, is feeling like every single space I go into is what I'm trying to do is explain to these law enforcement officers. I'm trying to explain to politicians or government agencies of why it is that my family members shouldn't have to die for them to bring attention to these sort of issues. But a more black and white answer, I guess, to that question is several years ago, it's almost been 10 years ago, a cousin of mine had gone missing for 2 weeks, and we had reported it to law enforcement, tribal law enforcement to be specific, because her missing and the disappearance did occur on the reservation, and we tried to report her missing. And for 2 weeks, we got a lot of the same answers of, you got to wait 48 hours. And it finally came to a point where the community was more concerned about it than the police. And thankfully, a lot of community members decided to come together, and they said, we're going to look for her ourselves. We're going to try to go out and find her and see what we can do, and start knocking on doors and kind of get maybe the police moving a little bit more. And it took 2 horsemen only 2 hours to actually discover my cousin's body in a river. The most recent case that I can remember that sparked any sort of interest in finding out the holes within the system and why cases like this were happening. And that's when a lot of my own personal research on my own time, and even sitting down with other tribal members, including my dad and uncles and other relatives, and asking really difficult questions of, is this the first time this has ever happened? Can you think of any other people within our community on the reservation that this has been going on with? And when we started that work, it was something that I wasn't really prepared for at the time, because it almost seemed unfathomable that the amount of trauma and hurt that so many people out here go through, and no one ever gets any sort of answers. So it was that case with my cousin. She was amazing. She was beautiful. She was one of the nicest people that I had ever been able to call a family member. I mean, like, when I say that she's one of the sweetest people, she really was. I think a lot of people describe their family members as that, but she had this very natural way of nurturing other people. She wasn't a mom, but she had a way of being able to have children around her and just feel like they were at home within her presence, and everyone felt safe around her. Yeah, so I think everybody's really familiar with the term homework, and everybody rolls their eyes and everybody gets really upset because nobody likes homework, because it means it's something that you have to do and you have to get it done in order to get a good grade. Heart work, I think, is something more that is in alignment with what we're passionate about. And when you start getting what you're passionate about together with what you're really good at, essentially talent, then that's where you're starting to find like your purpose. So I strongly encourage individuals that when they find what really fuels their soul and their mind and their body and their heart, that's what's going to be your heart work. That's what's going to be essentially what drives you every single day. That's what's going to be essentially what gets you out of bed every single day, whether it be your kids, whether it be the survival of your people, or if it means something as small as, you know, just getting paid for the day. If that's your heart work and that's what you're wanting for yourself, then that's kind of where that term came from, was what you're passionate about. So I think that when I wake up every day and thinking of my heart work, I'm hoping that at the end of every day, I'm able to say that I took a lot of the teachings from my elders and those before me, and what they've worked so hard to provide for me and my generation, that I can pick that up and take it with me, carry it for a little bit, do what I can with it, but essentially leave something for my boys to be wanting to work on as well. And I think that's what my heart work looks like. It's not looking for a W or looking for a win or a way to have my hand raised at the end of all of this. It's just being able to lay something out for my boys to want to work on as well. And whether that be in the field of sports or advocacy work or whatever it is that they want to do, I'm just hoping that the things that I'm learning and the things that I'm trying to teach them is something that they'll want to carry forth as well. And I think that's what a lot of what Indian country is built on, is this generational wealth of knowledge. It's being able to essentially ensure our survival as a people. And I think that's ultimately what I'm coming up with this advocacy work is. It's not so much about these missing and murdered individuals, even though those stories are very important and we need to tell those. It's about the overall big picture of it, of ensuring the survival of the next generation and helping them understand what it's going to look like for them and what it is that we need for them to do to ensure that they can teach their children and the generation after them and the one after them. So I think that's what my heart work is starting to look like now.